Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is set to arrive in Seoul this afternoon for a series of meetings with some of Korea's most influential business figures, including the heads of SK, Hyundai Motor, LG, and Naver. Korea's stock market opened lower this morning, prompting a sell-side sidecar, halting program sell orders for 5 minutes. The downturn appears to reflect weakness in U.S. stocks overnight, with semiconductor stocks leading the losses. Korea's local elections have ended with the ruling Democratic Party securing most of the regions. But the results suggest mixed emotions for both rival parties, as the main opposition Conservative Party held on to one of the key battlegrounds after a closely contested race in Seoul. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang arrives in Korea this afternoon for a series of high-profile meetings with business leaders, researchers, and startup founders as the country seeks to strengthen its position in the global AI race. The visit is expected to focus on potential partnerships in semiconductors, data centers, autonomous driving, gaming, and robotics. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is set to arrive in Korea on Friday afternoon for a 4-day visit, packed with meetings that could deepen cooperation in artificial intelligence, robotics, and next-generation computing. According to industry sources, Huang will land at Seoul's Gimpo International Airport at 1 p.m. During his stay, he is expected to meet top business leaders, gaming executives, AI and robotics startup founders, university researchers, and students. One of the most closely watched events is a dinner scheduled for Friday evening with some of Korea's most influential business figures, including SK Group Chairman Choi Tae-won, Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Chung Hee-sun, LG Group Chairman Koo Kwang-mo, and Naver Chairman Lee Hae-jin. The gathering is widely expected to take place at a popular grilled pork belly restaurant in Hongdae in what local media are calling a samso meeting, referring to the combination of samgyeopsal and soju. Industry observers expect discussions during the dinner meeting to cover a broad range of strategic sectors, including high-bandwidth memory, AI data centers, autonomous driving technology, robotics, and so-called physical AI, which combines artificial intelligence with real-world machines and robots. Huang is also expected to meet Kim Taek-jin, founder and chief executive of gaming company NC Corporation, on Sunday, where talks are likely to focus on gaming technologies and AI collaboration. On Monday, the Nvidia chief is expected to hold a closed-door session with the heads of Korean AI startups, as well as with robotics startups leaders, highlighting Nvidia's growing interest in the sector. Huang is also reportedly planning visits to research facilities at Seoul National University, including its AI Institute and Robotics Research Center. Sources say he has expressed a particular interest in meeting students directly during the trip. In addition, Huang is expected to meet executives from video game holding company Krafton, including Executive Director Chang Byung-gyu. Discussions are expected to include gaming partnerships involving Nvidia's RTX Spark platform and broader cooperation in physical AI. Krafton recently expanded into robotics through the launch of its new subsidiary, Ludo Robotics. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Korea's benchmark KOSPI on Friday plunged more than 5% in early trading, dropping to the 8,100 level. The rapid decline prompted the Korea Exchange to activate a sell-side sidecar for the main bourse just 8 minutes into the trading, temporarily halting program trading for 5 minutes to mitigate volatility. The tech-heavy Kosdaq is also posting significant losses, tracking the broader market downturn. In the foreign exchange market, the Korean won traded at 1,540 Korean won per dollar for the first time since the 2009 global financial crisis. And Korea's current account surplus has surpassed the $100 billion mark in just the first 4 months of the year. According to the Bank of Korea on Friday, the country posted a surplus of $28.29 billion in April, marking the second largest monthly surplus on record. This brings the cumulative surplus from January to April to $102.67 billion. The milestone was driven heavily by the goods account, which posted a $33.88 billion surplus. Overall exports surged 54.5% year-on-year to $90.59 billion, fueled by sustained boom in semiconductor demand. Imports rose 16.1% to $56.7 billion. April marks the nation's 36th consecutive month in the black. 1 year into office, the Lee Jae-myung administration's economic policies have helped lead to strong gains in the local stock market, particularly in AI-related industries, and the administration has also needed to manage several crises. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon tells us more.
President Lee's most visible economic achievement over the past 12 months can be seen in the KOSPI. His focus on the market was clear from day one, choosing the Korea exchange as the very first place to visit.
대한민국 주식시장은 여러분들 아시는 것처럼 너무 불공정하고 불투명하고 다른 나라 사람들이 보면 저 시장을 어떻게 믿냐 이렇게 생각될 정도 아닙니까?
When the administration assumed office last June, the index was at the 2,700 level. It is now trading near the 8,500 mark, an increase of roughly 214% in just 1 year. Korea's stock market capitalization has jumped from 13th to 7th globally. The vertical climb is heavily driven by explosive global demand for AI memory chips, as performance by Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix surged. The government backed this momentum by allocating 10.1 trillion won, or roughly $7.4 billion to push the nation into the top 3 global AI powers. The administration also faced immediate external and internal crises. Following the economic contraction from the December 3rd martial law incident, the government passed a 31.8 trillion won, or roughly $23.3 billion supplementary budget last July, injecting liquidity through widespread consumption coupons. When the Middle East war erupted in February, blocking the Strait of Hormuz and sending international oil prices past $100 a barrel, the government executed a 26.2 trillion won, or $19.2 billion war supplementary budget. This fund targeted subsidies for the bottom 70% income bracket and established an oil price cap. This massive fiscal intervention came at the right time. The record-breaking export performance of domestic semiconductor giants led to a significant surge in corporate tax collections.
These policies were clearly deployed to boost domestic demand, and they have been effective in increasing consumption. Such fiscal maneuvering is necessary when there is budgetary room, and right now we are seeing strong tax revenues backing these measures.
Consequently, South Korea's consumer price index for April was held at 2.6%, significantly lower than the US and other major economies. On the trade front, the government navigated the Trump administration's strict tariff policies. After 5 months of negotiations, Seoul secured a mutual tariff reduction from 25% to 15% in exchange for a $350 billion investment promise in the U.S. And with all this, the Bank of Korea announced the nation's first quarter economic growth surged to 3.6% on year. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Korea has been elected to the UN Economic and Social Council for a 3-year term beginning in 2027. According to the Foreign Ministry on Friday, the election took place during the 80th session of the UN General Assembly in New York on June 4th local time. The ministry said the result reflects international trust in Korea's contributions to addressing global economic, social, and development challenges. Korea will serve its 11th term on the 54-member council, which coordinates discussions on issues including sustainable development, humanitarian assistance, public health, and climate change. Seoul said it will actively contribute to efforts on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, responding to climate change, and advancing digital transformation, while helping address shared global challenges. Chinese President Xi Jinping will pay a state visit to North Korea next week. That's according to Pyongyang's Korean Central News Agency on Friday, reporting that Xi's visit will take place on Monday and Tuesday at the invitation of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. If the visit goes ahead as announced, it will mark Xi's first trip to North Korea in 7 years. He last visited in June 2019. Recent satellite imagery have fueled speculation about a possible summit, showing fenced-off areas and construction work at Pyongyang's Kim Il-sung Square. The visit comes ahead of the 65th anniversary of Pyongyang and Beijing's July 11th Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation, and Mutual Assistance. The U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee has approved the nomination of Michelle Steele, a former U.S. Congresswoman of Korean descent, to become the next U.S. ambassador to South Korea. The committee voted 14-8 in favor of her nomination on Thursday, clearing the way for a final confirmation vote by the full Senate in the coming days. During her confirmation hearing last month, Steele stressed the importance of strengthening cooperation between South Korea, the United States, and Japan. Born in South Korea and raised in the United States, Steele previously represented California's Orange County in Congress. If confirmed, Steele would become the second Korean American to serve as U.S. ambassador to South Korea, following Sung Kim. The ruling party has secured most of the regions at the recent local elections, but following a neck-and-neck race for Seoul and the main opposition party eventually taking over the capital, the results hint at mixed emotions for both parties. Our political correspondent An Sung-jin provides an overview of the latest results and what they might signify.
Korea's local elections concluded with the ruling Democratic Party winning 12 of 16 metropolitan, mayoral, and gubernatorial races. The main opposition People Power Party secured its conservative strongholds in Gyeongsangbuk-do and Gyeongsangnam-do provinces, Daegu, and most importantly, after a neck-and-neck race, it kept hold of the capital Seoul. The DP held on to the metropolitan areas of Gyeonggi-do province and Incheon, while also capturing Busan. The results hint at the DP further consolidating its grip on power by strengthening the Lee Jae-myung administration, as it allows the ruling party to control across the executive branch, National Assembly, and much of local government. But the victory comes with a setback. As the PPP holds on to one of the key political battlegrounds, Seoul, the ruling party remains cautious. Analysts say the latest local elections show that the voters intended to strike a balance through checks and balances by keeping the opposition party's strongholds intact. Looking at several parliamentary by-elections as well, the victory of independent Han Dong-un in Busan 북 A and the PPP's Yoo Hee-dong in Pyeongtaek B suggests nuanced public support despite President Lee's strong approval ratings. Han's win in Busan 북 A particularly stands out. As the former PPP chairman who had been ousted by the main opposition, his victory may reshape the conservative bloc and provide a greater leverage in challenging the administration. Foreign media outlets link the ruling party's success to President Lee's continued popularity on the back of economic optimism and recent strong stock markets. Reuters said the results showcased the administration's nationwide support, while the New York Times described the election as a referendum on his presidency. Attention now turns to political aftermath. The DP prepares for a leadership contest likely to take place later this year, while the PPP faces growing pressure over its election losses and political friction within the party. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
The National Assembly is set to elect its new leadership on Friday, marking the start of the second half of the Assembly's term. The ruling Democratic Party tapped Cho Jung-sik, a sixth-term lawmaker, as its nominee for Speaker. For the Deputy Speaker position, the DP nominated Nam In-soon, while the main opposition People Power Party elected Park Tuk-keum for the opposition-held Deputy Speaker position. Both are four-term lawmakers. The National Assembly leaders serve a two-year term and are elected through a secret ballot, requiring support from a majority of all sitting lawmakers. The Speaker is nominated by the largest party, while the two Deputy Speaker posts are shared between the ruling and main opposition parties. Theme parks have traditionally been destinations for children, but due to demographic challenges in Korea, operators are increasingly targeting a different audience, young adults. Our culture correspondent Park Gun-woo tells us how.
Seeing young kids and students at theme parks is nothing unusual. But in Korea, shrinking demographics are creating new challenges, a decreasing number of visitors. Yet one major park, Lotte World, has bucked the trend, with visitor numbers rising on year by about 2% in 2024, according to Themed Entertainment Association's latest report. One strategy has been tapping into nostalgia through popular franchises, Most recently MapleStory, a beloved online game that many young Korean adults grew up playing.
It's been a while since I last visited an amusement park. But collaborations like this definitely make people my age visit again, especially when they feature brands we're familiar with.
This place feels as if you've stepped right into the world of MapleStory itself. Its immersive attractions, photo zones, snacks, and even this little hat on me are all drawing in even adults, eager to relive the childhood magic.
Through collaborations with a wide range of external characters and stories, we're creating seasonal content and new attractions to strengthen competitiveness and attract more visitors with diverse age groups and nationalities.
Themed merchandise and food are also helping draw in more visitors. Everland, Korea's other top-tier theme park, has also been using characters to draw strong interest through beloved animal stars like Fubao, the first Korean-born giant panda, and collaborations with domestic football clubs. But experts say the bigger opportunity may lie beyond Korea's borders.
I mean, everything from Squid Games to BTS to the Demon Hunters. Like, it's an amazing IP, like Korea's IP, one of Korea's IP. You know, how you take those stories and scale them outside of Korea. I said, how can you leverage that? Not only just in country, but on a more global scale, I think is a great opportunity right now.
Oviedo also says globally recognized characters and stories could help attract more international visitors, a strategy now being embraced by companies like Shinsegae through partnerships with major entertainment brands like Paramount. As Korea's theme parks search for new growth engines, from stories both local and international, their biggest attraction may no longer be the rides themselves, but the stories and fan bases that bring visitors through the gates. Park Geon-woo, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. Hezbollah has rejected the ceasefire deal agreed one day earlier by Israel and Lebanon. Israel also said it would not pull back its forces, dealing a blow to U.S. efforts to halt the fighting and forge a broader peace deal with Iran. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem said, quote, resistance would continue, noting the group had not been party to the Washington negotiations. Israel's defense minister said operations in Lebanon would not halt and troops would not pull back. Iran has made a Lebanon ceasefire a condition for any broader deal with the United States. Iran's supreme leader said Thursday that Iran's enemies had already been defeated on the battlefield. U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday called lawmakers, quote, unpatriotic after the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution the day aimed at limiting U.S. military action in Iran. 4 Republicans broke with their party to pass the measure 215 to 208. The White House dismissed the resolution as an unconstitutional attempt to restrict presidential power. Trump called the 4 Republicans, quote, grandstanders who should be ashamed of themselves. For the measure to carry legal force, it would need to clear the Republican-controlled Senate as well. It was the 4th attempt by lawmakers to rein in his war powers and the first to succeed. In the U.S., a flesh-eating parasitic fly that can devastate livestock populations has been confirmed in a Texas calf for the first time since 1966. The U.S. Department of Agriculture announced the find on Wednesday, with the parasite now threatening a cattle industry already at its lowest level in 75 years. The case was found in La Pryor, Texas, roughly 30 miles from the Mexican border. The United States Department of Agriculture has halted animal movement within 20 kilometers of the site and deployed a response team with treatment stockpiles. A Nepali Sherpa guide has been found after surviving for nearly a week on Mount Everest without food, water, or supplemental oxygen. 52-year-old Dawa Sherpa was believed to be dead after he went missing on May 29th while descending with a Polish climber after a failed summit attempt. A post-season cleanup crew found him near the Khumbu icefall after fixed ladders had already been removed for the year. He was rushed to hospital for frostbite treatment. His daughter said he recognized her and was speaking. Ju Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
After several days of heat and scattered storms, today brings a much more pleasant June forecast. A pocket of cooler air remains over the Korean peninsula, helping temperatures stay closer to norms for early June through the Memorial Day weekend. A few light showers are still possible this afternoon in parts of Gangwon-do province, but once the clouds move out, sunshine will take over nationwide. UV levels will become very high across much of the country, so please don't forget your sunscreen and hats. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 27 degrees. Daejeon and Gwangju will be getting up to 26, Daegu at 28 degrees Celsius. Air quality will be clean nationwide. The next week looks mostly sunny with comfortable early summer weather conditions.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.